If you are having any type of a doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we will start our lecture. Okay. In the last lecture, I have given you one example, that is f is equals to x square plus y square plus z square raised to 1/2. And I have told you to find out a df for this. In the last lecture, I have shown you what is a formula for df. Okay. I suggest everyone, while having a live lecture, you should not chat with me, because I will be not able to see the chat of yourself. So first you can unmute yourself and you can speak, so that I can be able to hear. Otherwise, every time I cannot be able to have a reading of those chat available. Okay. So for that, let us go for the definition of a one form once again. Okay, what is a one form? We have written one form is denoted by df. It is a one function which is defined from Tp of E3 to R. Okay, we can imagine this to be a one machine which converts all the tangent vectors to a real number. Okay, what is Tp of E3? Tp of E3 is all the tangent vector which have P as a point of application. Okay, so what is a df? It is a one form, or in another way we can have phi, psi. These are the example, these are the notations we are using for a one form. Okay, so what is the definition of one form? It is a one function which is defined which is real valued function, and it is defined on set of all tangent vectors. Okay, so it will just like suppose we have df vp. Okay, that is this is nothing but differential of a function f in the direction of a tangent vector vp, which is nothing but our directional derivative. That is directional derivative of function f in the direction of a tangent vector vp. Okay, so this is what a definition in which we can say this differential df in the direction of a tangent vector vp is nothing but vpf. In another way, if we are having df applying on any tangent vector, it will result into a real number. Okay. In the last lecture, I have given you one example also. Okay, what was the example? We have a fun function phi. What was our phi? Phi is nothing but x square y dx plus y dy plus z square x square into dz. Okay, this was our function phi. And what was our v? V is nothing but x square u1 plus y square u2 plus z square u3. Okay, what we have to do? We have to apply phi on v. What is a phi? Phi is a one form. And we have seen one theorem that any df or any one form can be written as summation over I dou f by dou xi into dxi. Okay, this is very similar to our total derivative. How you found the total derivative of any function f which is a function of x, y and z. So at that time what you do, first finding the dou f by dou x dou f by dou x into dx. Next dou f by dou y into dy. And third one is dou f by dou z into dz. Okay. Now what is phi of v? First I will write down what is phi. So this is nothing but x square y dx plus y dy plus z square x square dz, and we have to operate this on a v. And for this you should have one thing, that is dxi vp. This also we have seen in the last recorded lecture. Dxi vp is nothing but it is vp xi. This is very similar to our definition. What is df vp? Df vp is nothing but vp f. So instead of having a function f, we are writing this for our real valued functions xi. Okay. So for this, we can have now this vpxi. So this I can write it as summation over I vi dou f by dou xi. Okay. Now what are our dou f? F is nothing but xi. So that's why we are now changing the parameter, as already we have used I. So that's why we will use summation over j vj dou xi by dou xj. Now everyone know what is the value of dou xi by dou xj. We can say this is a delta ij. So I can write this as summation over j vj and delta ij. So firstly we have to put j equal to 1 and run the summation. So what I get the value, that is a derivative of x1 with respect to x1 will be 1. Otherwise all are 0. Why this is so? Because this is a partial derivative. So what I get the value of dxi vp is nothing but v1 in case of j is 1. And the second one, that is if I run summation for j equal to 2. So this will be v2. So correspondingly for every value of j you will get the corresponding vi. So that's why we can write in general vpxi, that is nothing but dxi vp is nothing but our vi. That is for every I we can get a, for j equal to 1 I will get v1, for j equal to 2 I will get v2, v3 and so on. So now we can put this x square y as it is. What is a dx? This will be v1. Okay, we are operating dx on v. Here we are operating dx1 on vp. So instead of having x1 we can consider this to be x. What is x2? Y. x3 is nothing but z coordinate. Okay, so finally we can get x square y v1 plus y as it is dy operated on v will be v2. Third one x square z square. dz operated on v is v3. So what is v1, v2, v3? This is our v1, this is v2 and this is v3. Why these are so? Because we know that any vector field can be written as ui, vi and ui. Ui's are nothing but your natural frame fields. This is u1, u2, u3. What is the coefficient of u1 is v1, coefficient of u2 v2, coefficient of u3 is v3. So finally now we can write the values of v1, v2, v3. Okay, what are v1? v1 is x square. So finally we will get x raised to 4y plus y cube plus x square as it is. What is a v3? Z square. So we will get z raised to 4. What are those x, y and z here? The resultant equation I am getting, these are in combinations of x, y and z only. What are x, y, z? These are nothing but our real valued function. So what we got, if we operate any one form on a vector field or we operate any one form on a tangent vector, resultant we have a real value. Okay. In the last lecture we have seen one theorem, that is any one form df can be written as summation over I dou f by dou xi into dxi. And how we have operated this theorem? We have written this theorem with the help of our df. First we have to operate df on vp. On the second way we have to operate this summation on a tangent vector vp. So then we will get RHS is equal to LHS. So we'll get these two quantities are equal. Okay. In the last lecture we have proved this also. Summation fi is nothing but summation over I fi dxi. Those who remember. Rather, those who see the lecture, phi is nothing but summation over I fi dxi. For this theorem also we have operated vp as well as fi summation fi dxi on a tangent vector vp. So if we find this, so if we have a RHS and LHS, so if these two are equal, we can say that these two quantities are equal. It is very simply, if you are having df or phi, both are one form, simply the notations are different. Okay. So the notations are different, so simply we have to operate phi and df on a tangent vector vp. As we are operating df or phi on a tangent vector vp, we have to operate these summations also on a tangent vector VP. So finally you will get two expressions are equal. So then you can say that these two expressions are equal. Now one may have a question, why to operate a df and a phi on a tangent vector VP? This is so because our df is a function which is defined from Tp of E3 to R. Okay. df operated on any tangent vector or any vector field should be resultant into a real number or real valued function. So that's why now df we can operate only on a tangent vector or a vector field. So that's why we are operating df on a tangent vector VP, or any one form we have to operate on a tangent vector VP if we want to prove the result. Okay. So these two results we have seen in the last lecture. So how to operate these results? Just apply phi on VP, this summation on VP as well as df on a tangent vector VP and this summation on a tangent vector VP. So after getting the two expressions, you can have equation 1 and 2 are same, hence LHS is equals to RHS. Okay. In the last lecture I have given you one example. You have to find out what is a df for this. Okay. First example, f is equals to x square plus y square plus z square raised to 1 by 2. So for this you have to use this formula, df is equal to summation over I dou f by dou xi into dxi. So how to operate df? It is very easy because this already we have done in our BSc. Yes, no? In the BSc itself we have seen what is a total derivative. Find out a derivative of this function with respect to x. It will be, as it is raised to 1 by 2, so we have to now write down it is under root of x square plus y square plus z square. Okay. Now we are differentiating this with respect to x, so that's why it will be 2x. As it is derivative of x raised to 1 by 2, so that's why it is 1 upon 2 root x. Okay. Derivative of root x is 1 upon 2 root x. In the very similar way we have written here. So this is df. So here it is 2y divided by 2 under root of x square plus y square plus z square dy plus next is 2z divided by under root of x square plus y square plus z square dz. Okay. If you cancel these two, so what I get simply x dx plus y dy plus z divided by under root of x square plus y square plus z square. Okay. This you have already done in your BSc, that how to find out the total derivative of any function. Okay. What is the formula? df is equal to summation over I dou f by dou xi into dxi. Or you can say it is dou f by dou x dx plus dou f by dou y dy plus dou f by dou z into dz. Just you have to find out the partial derivative of a function f with respect to x, y and z, and then write it in the form of summation. Okay. Fine. Now let us go for the one theorem which will be a conclusion of our example. The example just now we have seen phi. If I am operating it on a vector field, I will get a resultant as some real valued functions. Okay, just now we have operated phi anyway vector field we have, that is a summation over I x square. What was a v? X square u1, y square u2, z square u3. What are v1, v2, v3 in this? v1 is x square, v2 is y square, v3 is z square. Okay. So for this, now we can operate this phi any when form. If I am operating on a vector field, resultant is a one real valued function. This we have solved one example. Now let us generalize the concept. That means if suppose I have any one form, this theorem we have proved in the last lecture, that is summation over I fi dxi. Correct? How we have proved this theorem? We have to operate a one form phi on a tangent vector VP. Again operate this one form phi on a tangent vector VP. And if you get these two expressions are equal, then you can say the two quantities are equal. Okay. Next, we have any general vector field. How you define any general vector field? Summation over I vi ui. This was a theorem we have proved initially. That is, any vector field can be written as linear combination of natural frame field. And this is very similar to our R3 space. In the R3 space, you can write any vector, that is x, y, z, or any point P, x, y, z. We can write this in the linear combination of basis vector. What are the basis vector for the R3 space? 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1. So any vector in the R3 space we can write in the linear combinations of basis vector. So here also any vector field now can be written in the linear combination of natural frame fields. What are those VR? VRs are nothing but our coordinates of a tangent vector VP, and these are the real valued function in case of a vector field. Okay. If it is a tangent vector, these are coordinates. If it is a vector field, these are real valued functions. Okay. Now we have two general things, that is first one from phi, and this is a vector field. This we have done already with the example. We were having one example. With the help of that, we have shown phi operated on a vector field. We get the resultant is a real valued function. Now here we have to do the same thing. Phi and v, we have taken this in general. Now let us operate phi on a v. That is phi operated on any vector field. Summation over I fi dxi operated on a vector field. That is summation over I vi ui. Okay, how to operate this? Let me write down this first one. What is this summation? This is f1 dx1 plus f2 dx2 plus f3 dx3. What is this? This is nothing but v1 u1 plus v2 u2 plus v3 u3. Okay, now you can operate this. That means this f1 dx1 I have to operate on whole this. Okay, so let me write down this f1 dx1. I have to operate on whole this v1 u1 plus v2 u2 plus v3 u3. What is the second term? We have to operate f2 dx2 on this bracket plus f3 dx3. Again I have to operate on this bracket, right? Okay, so let me write this is v1 u1 v2 u2 plus v3 u3. Here also v1 u1 v2 u2 v3 u3, right? So if f1 is a real valued function and if this is a vector field, v1 is also one real valued function, so we can keep v1 and f1 outside. So we have to operate now dx1 on u1, correct? Similarly, we can operate dx1 on u2, right? Plus we have to operate, now here we have to write down this f1 v2, and here what is this f1 v3, and operating dx1 on u3, correct? Now if you observe clearly, this is nothing but dx1 u1, and this is dx1 u2, and this is dx1 u3, correct? So what should be now? dxi ui. Okay, what should be dxi ui? It is nothing but again this we have done already. dxi vp is nothing but vp of xi. This that will be ui xi, correct? So this is again very similar to our delta ij. So we can write this as now delta ij, which will be equal to 1 if j equal to I. Otherwise it is 0, correct? So dx1 u1 will be 1, all others are 0. dx1 u2, dx1 u3, this will be 0. So in the first term we get only one term. And what is the value of dx1 u1? It will be simply 1. Okay. Similarly, what we will remain in the second one, if we operate this, f2 v1 will be outside, dx2 u1, it will be 0. Why this is 0? Because we know that again we have delta ij, that means dx2 if we are finding on u1. So this will be 0. dx2 u2 will be 1. All others are 0. So we get f2 v2. In the third term, what I will get last term, that is f3 v3. Okay. And if you observe very clearly, this is f1, f2, f3 are real valued functions. v1, v2, v3 are also real valued functions. So combinedly all the expression, that is phi of v, we get a one real valued function. Okay. Now I think everyone having a doubt about how to operate dx1 on u1. Let me operate dx1 on u1. Right? How to operate dx1 on u1? Well, for that we must know firstly what is dxi vp. That we have written, it is nothing but vp xi, that is directional derivative of xi in the direction of a tangent vector vp. Correct? So we have written this is nothing but summation over I. These are vi. Okay, now we have changed this parameter to j because already we are using xi. So here xi and here with respect to xj. So what was the resultant of this? This is summation over j vj delta ij. Okay, if I run the summation j equal to 1, somewhere I will get v1 and delta 1 1. So delta 1 1 will be 0, all others are delta 1 1 will be 1, all others are 0. That is delta 1 2 will be 0. Or you can observe here, if I am differentiating a partial derivative of x1 with respect to x2, it should be 0. Partial derivative of x1 with respect to x1 will be 1. Otherwise, all are 0. So, what is the coefficient we will remaining with the VR? Okay. So, now, in the very similar way, we have to operate here. What will be dx1 u1? That is, what are the coordinates of u1? u1 at a point P is nothing but 1 0 0 at a point P. So what are those Vj? Vj are nothing but 1 0 0. Right? So here I can write now 1 0 0. Now what we have to operate? Dou x1 by dou x1. It will be dou x1 by dou x2. Okay. So if I run the summation over j, this 1 into dou x1 by x1 will be 1 and these are the 0. So next terms will be 0. So what I get simply, the quantity is 1. And if you operate for dx1 on u2, this will be 0. Okay. So this will work as a simply delta ij. Right. Now we have got that any vector, any one form, if I am operating on a vector field, this will result into a real valued function. Okay. Now before going to the next, I want to ask you some question related to dot product and cross product. Those who know dot product and cross product can unmute yourself and you can ask me. Or you can say me what is a dot product and cross product. In the next we will see what is a cross product in our differential geometry. Unmute yourself and ask, answer me what is a dot product and cross product. Yes, unmute yourself and tell me what is a dot product and cross product. आप लोग सीरियसली लाइव लेक्चर अटेंड करते हो कि मोबाइल ऑन करके आराम से कहीं पे बैठते हो? आई डोंट नो एग्जैक्टली. Okay, fine. If you are not interested to tell me what is a dot product or a cross product, let me remind you very short. What is A dot B? How you operate a dot product, which is nothing but mod A mod B cosine of theta. What is a cross product? A cross B. How we write this is nothing but A B sine theta. Right? But why we are using cos theta for dot and sine theta in case of cross product? That you have to find yourself. That is, first tell me how to operate a cross product. Suppose these are any two vectors. Okay, this is A and B. So resultant of the vector is given in this direction, that is A, B, and the resultant vector A cross B is given in the perpendicular direction of A and B. So this is what A cross B. Suppose you are having any two vectors. So this is A and this is B. So resultant of the vector is A cross B, which is given in the direction which is perpendicular to both the vectors A and B. Now you can see here, these are not perpendicular as it is our 2D space. So these are the vectors in one plane. So this we can have one perpendicular vector which is perpendicular to A as well as B, and it is in the outward direction. So this is what A cross B. And what will be there in the downward direction? It is A cross B. It is nothing but B cross A, or we can write it as minus of A cross B. And let me ask you whether you know about whether these dot product and cross product are commutative or not. Okay. For this, what is A dot B, whether if it is equal to B dot A, and what about A cross B, whether it is equal to B cross A. No doubt for dot product we know that they are obeying our commutative law, but for the cross product these are not equal. Okay, why it is not equal? Because A cross B, if I am getting in this direction, what is the direction of B cross A? It is in the downward direction. So these two are equal if I am taking a negative sign. Okay. So hence we can say our dot product obeys the commutative law, but the cross product is not going to obey the commutative law. Oh. Okay, I want to ask you what is suppose I have any vector A with say axi plus ayj plus azk, and here it is B with say dxi, byj and bzk. How to find out A cross B? We find this is nothing but here we write ijk, and then we can write those coordinates ax, ay, az, and here bx, by, and bz. Now can you tell me what is a geometric interpretation of dot and cross product? Yes, anyone, those who are interested can unmute yourself and tell me what is a geometric interpretation of a dot product and the cross product. Okay, these are the basic things you should know. What is a geometric interpretation of dot and cross product? How it works? How you found the dot product? Why we are writing the cosine for the dot product? A dot B, we write it as mod A mod B cosine of theta, and for cross product we are writing it is A cross B is nothing but mod A mod B sine theta. Yes, unmute yourself and tell me what is geometric interpretation of dot and cross product. Okay, fine. Let me go for the next exterior product or a wedge product, which is very similar to a cross product. If you know a cross product, you can be very easier to know what is an exterior product or a wedge product. Okay. How you denote a cross product? We are denoting this with this sign cross. Now in the differential geometry, we will denote this by this cap. That is phi wedge psi. Okay. For cross product, we were having the vectors, that is A, B, these are vectors. Now here, instead of having a vector, we are operating this wedge product on the one form. Okay. Now just now we have seen the cross product does not obey our law of a commutative. Okay. If it is not obeying the law of commutative, so can you tell me what will be phi wedge psi is nothing but minus of psi wedge phi, correct? So now I can take this minus sign on this side. So now I can write this is 2 times phi wedge psi, correct? Still silent. So what it will be 0. So what will be phi wedge psi? Whether I have written correct?
No, ma'am.
What is wrong? Here it is phi wedge psi and here it is psi wedge phi. Right? We have just now seen what is A cross B. If suppose these two are vectors, suppose these are the vectors A and this is B. So resultant of the vector, that is A cross B in the upward direction, and which is perpendicular to both the vectors. And what will be this vector? This will be a vector which is in the downward direction. Okay, so this is A cross B and this is minus of A cross B, or you can say this is B cross C. Okay, so this is what a law of our cross product. And now we can say this is in the exterior product or in the wedge product. So these are the things we are writing. Suppose this is whatever A cross B. This is nothing but minus of B cross A. Correct? Now, if you see this cross product, now we have extended to our this cap. And instead of having a vectors, we have extended this to our one form. Okay. So now, let me have this. If suppose this phi and psi both are same, that means I can say this phi wedge, instead of psi, I will write the same vector. This is equal to minus of phi wedge phi. Correct? So now phi wedge phi. Now I can write this is 2 times because both the vectors are same. So this will be equal to 0. Correct? Because instead of psi, I am writing the same. Because both the vectors are same. That is both the one form are same. So if I writing this will be, this negative will be positive. So this we can write it as 2 times this. So we can write phi wedge phi will be equal to 0. And this is also true in case of our vector. So how I can write this is A cross B is nothing but minus of B cross A. Okay, these are not equal, but they are equal but opposite, right? So if I am replacing B by A, so it will be A cross A. It is equal to minus of A cross A. So I can write this is 2 times A cross A, which is equal to 0. So I can have A cross A is equal to 0. What you are getting from this A cross A is equal to 0 means what? If you are having a cross product of the same vector with itself, it is equal to 0. Why this is so? Because if suppose I am having A cross A, what is the cross product? We are writing A and this is B. What is the resultant? It is nothing but mod A mod B into sin theta. Okay. What is a theta? Theta is an angle between A and B. What is an angle between A and A itself? Theta will be 0, right? How you write A cross B? It is nothing but mod A mod B sine of theta. If suppose instead of having a vector B, I am writing for the same vector A, so what will be an angle theta? Theta will be 0 from itself, so it will be A cross A is nothing but mod A mod B sine of 0. What is sine 0? It is 0. So we can say cross product of the vector with itself, it is 0. Right? But what about a dot product? A dot B. If I am writing B is nothing but A dot A is mod A into mod A cos of 0. But cos 0 is 1. So that's why we can have mod A square. Right? So cross product of a vector with itself is 0. And this have a one geometric interpretation also, because the cross product we are imagining this to be a, suppose if we are in the 2 dimensions, so this A cross B, the resultant of the vector will give you the area of rectangle. So area of rectangle can be found only if we are having the 2 vector. Suppose these are any 2 vector. Okay, this is A and B. So now I can complete the rectangle. How I am going to complete this is, say, A vector, this is B. So parallel to this I can draw A bar, and here parallel to this I can draw B bar. So now I can have a area of this parallelogram. Instead of saying rectangle, we can say area of a parallelogram. Right. So what is our cross product? It will give you the area of a parallelogram. But if you go for the 3 dimension, okay, if you are having A cross B cross C, it will give the volume of the parallelepiped. Okay. So if you are finding an area, you should have at least 2 coordinates, that is A and B. If you are how you can find out the area of a line? You cannot find out the area of a line because we are operating A cross A itself. Okay. So that's why area of this single line should be 0. Okay. Now let us go with all those properties. Phi, wedge, psi, wedge, theta. Right. It will follow the associative property, that is phi, wedge, psi, wedge, theta. It is very similar to our cross product. Okay. Now if I am operating phi, wedge, psi plus theta, this will be operated like distributive law, phi, wedge, psi plus phi, wedge, theta. Okay, and the next next 2 we have seen already, that is it will not obey the commutative law, and the next one is cross product of vector with itself should be 0. This have a geometric meaning that parallelogram it will area of a parallelogram, but for a single line I cannot find out the area of a single line. Okay, so just now we have written what is phi, wedge, phi, it is 0. So we can operate this like also dxi wedge dxj. Okay. Suppose I am writing for dxi wedge dxj, it will be equal to minus of dxj wedge product with dxi. Correct? Because phi are also one form, these dxi's are also one form, df is also one form. Instead of having a function f, we are writing for xi. Xi's are also real valued function that you have studied initially. These x, y, z are also real valued. Instead of having x, y, z, we are writing x1, x2 and x3. Okay. So from this expression also you can say dx wedge product with dx will be 0. Right? Okay. Is there any doubt up to this, or any doubt regarding the last recorded lectures? If you are having a doubt, you can ask. If not, we'll go for the 2 form and 3 form definitions. See, I have seen the analysis of video lectures. In the analysis, I found the average time of watching the videos of differential geometry was 3 minutes. That means average, all the students are watching the differential geometry lecture only for 3 minutes. So I'm not worried, but you have to appear for the exam. I have already passed the differential geometry paper. Okay, so you must watch the lectures so that you must be able to appear for the internal as well as external exams. Okay. For if you are having any YouTube channel, so you can see the how much time, how much average time is there for your video lecture. If you are having any type of problem with my teaching, you can ask me or you can give me messages. For that only I am taking a live lecture. If you are having any problem with my teaching, if you are not getting something, suppose you haven't understand the what is a differential geometry, why it is introduced, so you will not have any interest in watching those videos. No doubt you have a long gap of study, but still now you have to cope up with your syllabus so that you can appear for the exams of your third semesters, right? So watch the videos. No doubt I am knowing you are having a backlog exams also, but at least you can watch a video of half an hour. It is not much difficult to watch the video. You can get in half an hour from 24 hours, right? This is what your time where you can utilize your time for the things which makes you a knowledgeable person, right? अगर आप सेट नेट भी क्वालिफाई होते हैं तो आपको जॉब मिलेगी इसकी कोई गारंटी नहीं है. So that's why you should at least qualify the set net, but except that you should have knowledge also so that you can compete with all other set net qualified students. And if you don't want to work for a contract basis or CHB worker, so you should now a knowledgeable person and you should go for other things also. That means all the exams which are related to maths, and in that type of exam you have to appear where you get a permanent job guaranteedly. Like suppose where IBPS exams are there, PSI exams are there, ISI, Indian Statistical Institute, where the you can appear for assistant manager post. In that they have three phases. First one is we have to appear for the one MCQ exam, and then you have to go for main, and then you have an interview. So don't assume that you will come in the lectureship. Okay, आप बोल रहे होंगे आप क्यों lectureship कर रहे हो? Because I have already registered for my PhD, so that's why I am continuing my lectureship. Okay, so don't imagine that you should be okay with that only lectureship. You should at least go for the research. If you want to come in the lectureship, you should have a PhD, right? In this era, everyone, those who want to come in the lectureship, I think they should have a qualified setnet and they should register for the PhD somewhere. माझा रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑलरेडी झालेला आहे म्हणून मी ते लेक्चरशिप कंटिन्यू केली. इथे झालेलं आहे रजिस्ट्रेशन सोलापूर युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये. सो दैट्स वाई इफ यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड दैट अगर आपको PhD करना है तो आपके पास पेशेंस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, राइट? At least you require 4 to 5 years to complete the PhD, and then you will have a degree of doctorate, and then you can survive in our lectureship. Or so for that, I think those who want to get a job earlier, you can go for the exams like these exams are conducted by Indian Statistical Institute, IBPS exams, where you at least no need to pay anything, just like Rishwat and all. You have to just appear for the exam and you can qualify the exam. Even there are different type of exam for class 1, class 2 officer. First you can appear for class 2, and if you qualify the first one, you can then after joining the class 2 post, you can go for class 1 examinations. At least you should have one base of earning, right? Okay, so let us, though if you are not having a doubt, let us go for the two form. First we will write down what is a one form. We have written what is a one form is nothing but summation over I fi dxi. This is nothing but f1 dx1 plus f2 dx2 plus f3 dx3. Correct? So now I am going to define a two form. Right? This is a one form. So let me define the two form. Have psi is equal to f dx wedge dy. Right? Next is suppose another function say g plus g dy wedge dz. Right? Next is suppose another function h with dz wedge dx. Okay. What was the difference? Here we are having simply dx1, dx2, dx3. Or you can say this is dx, dy and dz. Now if you have a wedge product of two one form, that is dx wedge dx, dy wedge dz and dz wedge dx. Okay. The wedge product or the exterior product of two one form will give you the two form. Exterior product of two one form. Okay, if you are having two one form, then exterior product of these two one form will give you two form. Correct? Now I can write now what is a three form. Now you can guess what should be the three form. It means suppose you have some function f. So here I can write dx wedge dy wedge dz. That is exterior product of three one form. Exterior product of, instead of having two, exterior product of three one form will be a three form. Correct? So these are the definitions of one form, two form and three form. Right? In the next lecture, we will see one theorem in which we are going to prove d phi is equal to, that is we have one form phi, we are operating again a one form on, that is we have to operate, phi is this, we have to operate d on phi, right? And we will see what is the resultant of this. Okay. If you have a doubt, you can ask. I will wait for 5 minutes. Not related to this, or you can ask any other doubt. Yes, anyone have a doubt?